The Wedding Singer, World Trade Center, and Jerry Springer are all on this day. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is February 13th, 2023. It is the 44th day of the year. You got 321 days left. It is the 7th Monday in the 7th week in the 55th day of winter. There are 35 days left until spring. If today's your birthday, you're an Aquarius. Today is National World Radio Day. World Radio Day seeks to celebrate the importance of the radio in improving international cooperation, providing access to information, and supporting free speech. The day also serves to promote the radio as a means of communication in times of need and emergency. Radios are still the most readily available medium that can disseminate information to reach the widest and most diverse audience in the shortest amount of time. It's really strange. When I was a kid, a lot of you probably went to school in the 80s and 70s and maybe even the 90s, and radio was a big deal for a lot of us, and it's just kind of fallen by the wayside, kind of like cable television companies. This day was chosen to coincide with the anniversary of the United Nations Radio, the UN's International Broadcasting Service, which was established on February 13th, 1946. All right, let's see what else February 13th has given us. 1914, the copyright becomes a thing. In New York City, the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers is established to protect the copyrighted musical compositions of its members, and now it gets abused on YouTube. This is a little off subject, but I think it's interesting. So on YouTube, they've got an content ID system. So if you put music up that's not yours and you don't have the rights to it, that copyright holder of that music will get the proceeds from your video. So like if I started off all my videos with 20 seconds of Baba O'Reilly by The Who, their record label and them eventually would get all the money from that video. Which, that's fair. I'm using their stuff and I understand it. What I don't understand are people in other countries, like I just had one the other day, this weird company out there, they basically put copyright claims on older videos of YouTube creators, hoping we won't notice. So any money you get from that video will go to them. Now, they have no music on my videos. They're just putting in a claim. YouTube has gotten better about catching these people, but it still happens. I've tracked it down. It's a company in Kenya that keeps hitting me. They've hit me like 6 times. Since then, one of my things I do every day is I go to this one section of my YouTube studio, as they call it, and I look to see if anyone's put in a copyright claim on me. Now, granted, they're older videos, so they might only be making a couple, $3, $4, $5 off me a month. But if you've put in thousands of those claims, you can make a lot of money, especially if you're living in Kenya. So it sucks. One guy abused it so bad, he used it to get back at people, and he was doing it to a lot of people. And eventually YouTube sued him. He had to pay all kinds of fines, and he's outlawed for ever being on YouTube again. I don't know how they're going to enforce that one, but he's not allowed on YouTube anymore. All right, let's check out the next one. 1961, a rock that is estimated to be about 500,000 years old is discovered in California. It appeared to archaeologists that it contained a spark plug, like it was encased. Yeah, that was kind of weird. Look at this picture. 1975, a fire at the World Trade Center's North Tower happens in New York City. Now, at the time, the World Trade Center had only been open for less than 2 years. And on February 13th, 1973, a 3-alarm fire broke out on the North Tower's 11th floor. It spread to the 9th and 14th floors after igniting telephone cable installation in a utility shaft and ran vertical between the floors. Areas at the furthest extent of the fire were extinguished almost immediately. The original fire was put out in a few hours. Most of the damage was concentrated on the 11th floor, fueled by cabinets filled with paper. Alcohol-based fluids for office machines and other office equipment helped get this fire going. Fireproofing protected the steel, and there was no structural damage to the tower. Now, the fire was knocked out pretty good, but a lot of the damage came from the water from the fire being extinguished. That happened on floors below the 9th floor and the 11th floor and all that. But this spooked them pretty good, and on March 12, 1981, the Port Authority announced a $45 million plan to install sprinklers throughout the World Trade Center. The sprinklers had to be put in place, well, one of the reasons I should say, is because they had removed all the asbestos. Asbestos works great as a fireproofing material, but it just kind of, kills human beings. And as we all know, this wasn't the end of the problems with the World Trade Center. 1979, an intense windstorm strikes western Washington and sinks the half-mile-long Hood Canal Bridge. 2017, Kim Jong-nam, brother of North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, is assassinated in Kuala Lumpur International Airport. 2020, 21. A major winter storm causes blackouts and kills at least 82 people in Texas and northern Mexico. I remember this. The biggest problem with it was they had this bizarre winter storm and they didn't really insulate their power plants in a lot of cases. So a lot of the power plants went offline during this big winter storm. Movies released on February 13th, 1998, The Wedding Singer. A wedding singer, Robbie, and a waitress, Julia, are engaged to the wrong people. Then Robbie realizes his love for Julia and must prove his love before she marries the wrong man. The film grossed over $123 million. This is one of Adam Sandler's greatest movies. It had so many people in there. Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore, Steve Buscemi, Billy Idol was in this movie, Kevin Nealon, John Lovitz, Alan Covert, bunch of other people. Just a great movie. The movie was later adapted into a Broadway musical. It's like this. If you have a option, you got to see Happy Madison, you got to see The Waterboy or Wedding Singer. The Wedding Singer all the way. Born on February 13th, 1944, Jerry Springer. Everybody knows Jerry Springer. He was the former mayor of Cincinnati who rose to fame by hosting an outlandish TV show, The Jerry Springer Show. I happened to be watching the day they had the first fight on there. Then it became like this fake fight fest every single episode. They just get the whitest of white trash up there and they would air their grievances and it usually came to blows. They had an episode where they had guests that performed the world's oldest profession, if you know what I mean. And one of the girls was not terribly attractive, and one of the other girls made a comment about, if that's what you're doing, you're going to starve to death. And the fists started flying. And at the time, it was very abnormal. So it was all over the news how these two guests, started fighting on a television show. And then it became the normal Jerry Springer thing. It was weird. Jerry Springer graduated from Tulane University in 1965 with a political science degree. Died on February 13th, 1856, Thomas L. Jennings, African-American inventor, tradesman, entrepreneur, and abolitionist who was known for being the first African-American patent holder in history. In 1821, he was granted a patent for his novel method of dry cleaning. Now, there were African-American inventors before him, but they couldn't hold a copyright. He was the first one. In 1791, he was born to a free African-American family in New York City. He was a tailor and later opened up a dry cleaning business in New York City on Church Street, which became one of the largest clothing stores in New York City. I usually like to include how they passed away, but I couldn't find anything. He was only 65 years old when he passed away. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.